Good morning.
It is.
I thought I knew what I was going to ask when I got here, but now my questions are all rearranged. But I'll start with one thing. I've more or less transformed our second bathroom into an Abraham library because that's where I get dressed in the morning and do my hair and all. So I have my CDs, my tapes, my player, and I listen to you. But then something odd started happening. Things just kept falling and dropping, and I found myself on the floor a lot, picking things up, to the point where you could not notice. So I went to a friend of mine who channels, and I go, "What's with the bathroom?" And I didn't tell her about you. And she says, "Well, let's take a look." And she says, "Your bathroom is full of entities because they like the energy. They like to hang out there with you."
Because they are the energy.
Okay. And she said it's creating a lot of electricity and it's affecting your coordination. She goes, "You probably get even clumsier." And she said you could tell them to leave or they could stay, because I said, well, that's when I told her about you. I said, well, I listened to Abraham, yada, yada. And she tuned into you and she said, oh, yeah, no wonder, because the energy is very pure. And I said, are you saying Abraham is there, or are you saying other entities are there? And she said, both, because the others like to hang out there. And she said, you can tell them to leave or stay. And I'm like, oh, I don't mind them being in there. So now I go in there and I say, hi, guys, because we're all in there together. But, and she said, she channels, and she said right after she channels, like she has a client and she'll try to write the receipt, her handwriting looks like a stroke victim because it's just very distorted. And I said, funny you should say that, because my handwriting is going from bad to worse. It's just really
Well, what's
bad.
happening with your friend, as Esther is receiving Abraham, and then someone will ask her to sign a book, what Esther will always say is, give me a moment to get fully focused, because what she realizes is Abraham has been utilizing her apparatus, not to say that Esther is not in here too, but Esther's thinking mechanism has not been the focusing point of her. And in other words, Abraham's intentions and projections are what are causing these motions. And so Esther is sort of, in order to be very good at allowing us to express through her, Esther sort of steps aside. That's not the best way of saying it, but Esther's intentions are not the dominant vibration of her being when Abraham is focused through her. And so it takes a little bit of time for Esther to relax and allow her consciousness to be the stronger focusing mechanism. And that's why your friend is writing. As far as things falling or you being clumsy, it has nothing to do with anything except the energy that is within you. In other words, that implies that someone else can come into your space and affect your space in a way that doesn't have anything to do with you. And while that is an easy way to express things, we do not feel that that's what happens is, now let us ask you some questions. So you have put those things in that room because that's where you dress and get ready. So it's like wanting to do two things at the same time. In other words, do you find the other day, Jerry was listening to this music that he was telling you about. And Esther was off doing some book work, and she came back in to the motor coach where Jerry was. And the music was playing, which both of them adore. And Esther said, were you enjoying listening to the Abraham Rampage? And Jerry said, I had it on, but he said, it doesn't make good background music because it is something that you want to listen to. It's something that's compelling. It's information that we've been asking for. It's something that we want to know about. He said, I can't do other things while I'm listening to that. In fact, it's sort of annoying to have it playing while I'm trying to do other things because it's calling a part of me. And that's what's happening to you. You have taken the CDs or the information to that room so that you can make two things happen at once. I can listen to this while I'm doing something else, but you're sort of being pulled. Even something as not demanding of thought as getting ready still does require some attention. And so we think that it is diffused focus that is causing that to happen. We promise you that if you were to go into that space, sit in a comfortable chair, lean back, put your head back and listen, you would not find things falling around, you would not find any scattered energy, you would not find any frivolous beings in there. It's about the splitting of your energies.
Okay.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, next thing. The same woman that told me this information said,
it would be better for
Okay.
you to have these discussions with that one
Okay.
than with this one.
okay, that's fine. But I was...
If you're wanting clarification
No,
about
that's-
what they are saying, ask them.
No. I'm taking this somewhere else.
All right.
Okay. We started talking about channeling, and she said that, and I have channeled before, but the way I've channeled in the past, pre-Abraham, I stayed present, and I was myself and the other person at the same time. And I channeled a young man who, when he came in, he was laughing and feeling really good, but then he went into some painful memories. And so I'm thinking, well, I just want some clarification. It's when people die and you say they go into the non-physical and they go into pure positive energy, why are they, and then, for example, I'm confident that I was channeling this person because when they asked me questions, I would answer, like you said, just a block of thought and you answer it. I didn't know the answers, and I was told there were accurate answers. So, but this person, I could feel this being's pain. So, how can he be non-physical and still be feeling the pain he felt being human or physical?
When you are in your bathroom and you are tuning your radio dial and you are hearing a broadcast, a news report, a musical presentation, whatever it is that you are hearing, you do not spend a lot of time contemplating where the broadcasting tower is or who's projecting. You are more aware of what you are receiving. Mm-hmm. And in similar way, when you are receiving, Esther says to Jerry on occasion, it's interesting how we have enjoyed this Abraham experience for all of these years without having any physical human way of acknowledging, proving, even really understanding where or who Abraham is. In other words, they can't see the phone line. They can't trace it back. She can tell by the way it feels. She has been able to experience the value of it, but she has no way of identifying where the transmission is coming from. When someone makes their transition into non-physical, it may not be satisfying, it may even be a little unsettling for us to say, well, you can take our word for it, they reemerge into pure positive energy. You have no way of proving that either. But we will say to you that that is always the case. However, every thought that has ever been thought still exists. Thoughts that you thought today are still spinning around in your bathroom or wherever you've been. Every thought that has ever been thought still exists, and law of attraction manages the thought. So think about a person being in a human body. They have developed a personality. They have been given a name. They hold an identity. The identity becomes a clear vibration because not only are they peering out through the eyes and beingness of their viewpoint, but others are acknowledging them. And so the energy that begins to amass around your human form is actually a bigger part of who you are even than the human form that you are actually walking around in. And so once you reemerge into non-physical and your body is no longer walking around in this way. It has either been cremated, or it's been buried, or it's been put out to sea. In other words, your physical body is no longer amassed, and it is no longer the focal point of the energy that is you. That doesn't mean that that focal point that was the energy that was you does not still remain in some way. Now, it is diminished right away because others cannot look to it. There is not belief around it. Sometimes someone will say the house is haunted, and people will begin to look for the energy. They'll read stories of what the woman or the man was like, and they can literally reconstitute the energy into substantial enough vibration that it can be viewed by more than just a handful that are good at translating energy in that way. But all of you will always continue to exist in your physical realm. Esther and Jerry, from time to time, when they are in a city, will take a historical tour of some building or some garden. And very often, as they read the brochure and they become familiar with the creator of the garden, Esther will feel the essence of that person beginning to assemble around her. She can actually at sometimes feel them feeling joyous response to the way the gardens have grown. But it is not that she is attracting necessarily, it can be, the energy from their non-physical perspective, because while it hurts your feelings to know it, non-physical energy is not as fixated upon your human life as you would like them to be. In other words, your dead mother is having her own glorious life experience. She has reemerged into the fullness of who she really is. And while she has passing interest in that which you are about, it is far less than when she was your physical mother, you see. And so what happens as humans long or crave interaction, you are literally, and we are not kidding you even a little bit, reconstituting the energy of that which they were. You are not always, even not usually, tapping into the energy that they now are. Okay. Esther had an experience that clarified that for her, because she had heard us say for a long time that when you reemerge into non-physical, you are always pure positive energy. And then she received a transmission on an airplane one day from a woman who had been murdered. And it was very vivid and very clear to Esther. She knew, as you said, I'm not making this up. It was as clear as the way she hears Abraham. Different words and a different feeling altogether, but she heard it every bit as clearly. And later, and it was upsetting to Esther, because she said to us, as you just said, Abraham, you said it's pure positive energy those people are experiencing when they reemerge. And what I received was not pure positive energy. And we said to Esther, most importantly, why is it that you were a vibrational match to what you were receiving? And Esther had been reading the tabloid. She had been reading the Newsweek. It was on the seat in the first class cabin when she sat down, and she sat and read for a half an hour before takeoff, and then as she leaned, and she had been following the news on it. She was interested in the murder of this person, wondering what it was all about. And so when she received conversation, she said, why was this person negative in this way? And we said, because you were not tapping into the essence of that which she is now. You were tapping in to the thought forms that swirled around her while she was in her physical experience, and the dramatic energy around her death, and now even the even more dramatic energy as millions of people around the world are speculating about what happened. Became a very big and easy to translate thought form. Our question to Esther really set her to thinking, because we said, Esther, it does not surprise us that you could translate the energy. You're good at translating energy. Just like when you learn to read English, you can read any book. We said, the question that we are wanting to put to you, Esther, is why were you a vibrational match to this energy? And she laughed. She knew. She had read herself there. She had been reading it. She became a vibrational match to it. And so we do not want to work too hard at convincing you that non-physical is pure positive energy, because eventually you will all remember it fully once you make your transition. But it is helpful to understand that you are setting your receiver, and the way you set your receiver is a much bigger player in what you receive than what's being transmitted. The other day, Esther saw on television a program called How Does This Work? She likes it. She learned how her hairdryer works. She learned how different things work. And this particular segment was, how does the radio work? And the program explained that the antenna is receiving the electrical vibration, and they emphasized that the vibration or the frequency is electrical.